It's YouTube Wednesday! Grinch bust.
Alright, this is the first video that Stacy edited. So I haven't actually seen this, and I'm 30 pounds heavier at the beginning of this than I am at the end. That's how they know it's Christmas time. Haven't done one of these like 2 months? 2.5 months? So I did a lot of these, and then I did one here. This is the Grinch. We did it a little closer to Christmas time for something that we had going on. But we will be giving this bust away on Patreon. And it's still a little bit cold here in Texas, so I thought the Grinch was still a little appropriate. Countdown, 3 minutes. So these starts the same way as all the others. I do a base for it in order to just have that solid base, and I can cut it off and remove it later. But I'm putting a plate on this one because he's a cartoon character. He has really flat eyes. So putting this piece in, I'm able to build up over that, but I'll have real nice flat planes for the eyes. A lot of times the organic texture of the foam is a positive. In this case, it could have been a bit of a liability if I'm trying to paint an eye on top of it. So leaving that covered up a little bit the way that we did with the flat foam is going to build there. Just watching the fumes come off. Countdown 3 minutes. And every time I'm saying countdown 3 minutes, what I'm really doing is I'm just trying to time the foam. Countdown 2 minutes. To see if it's going to get tacky for me, or stop being tacky. As soon as you can touch it and it doesn't stick to your finger, then it's ready to be sculpted on and worked with. And you'll see me spray it with water, and spraying it with water is something that helps it set, and then you give it a little bit of time. I think I'm getting the gist of the shape. I need at least one more layer here, but this has to be more solid. Just a Grinchy old Grinch. A lot of the time, it's like you're sculpting with marshmallow fluff, and you have to be aware of that, of how it moves and how it operates. So it's just patience is key. So I'm sculpting the Grinch, and he is, of course, looking like the Michelin Man. They all do. And they go through a Stay Puft Marshmallow Man phase. If I were making a Loctite foam golem, I would be in good shape, but we're not. So I have to calm this down, put my fingers in the white sticky. The Grinch has such a distinctive head shape. And this is a sculpting tool. That's all I used that for, was a sculpting tool. The Grinch has such a distinctive head shape. And honestly, this one I was worried about the most while I was doing it. Normally I can kind of really see it come together, but the Grinch was very hard because it had to be built up in stages, and it didn't start looking like the Grinch until very late in the process. I actually came back to it a while later after not seeing it for a while, and I was pleased with its Grinchiness after the fact. Okay, this is just going to require so much babysitting. And that's because you put that material on there and then it sags. His face moves a lot. There's no skull that stuff is moving around. It's just all that meat. So when he makes a big exaggerated expression, the meat changes. But I know that that's the Grinch. Yeah, and that's just me making a note on his face in general. Cartoon characters don't have a skeletal structure, so their faces change wildly from image to image. And that was a challenge, picking which image I wanted of the Grinch. That really helped that eye shape. You want the Grinch to be devious looking, but not menacing. And that's kind of a tough balance, and that all is happening in the eyes and in the grin. I think I need a little more in here. This medium is very, let's just say it's forgiving, but you can't always make it do exactly what you want. You have to have a little bit of go with the flow with this, because it has a flow, it has a direction, it has shapes that kind of get built into it. And that's just things that you have to work with or around or learn to master. And I'm kind of just powering through it here to make what I want. I'm gonna run and get my drink. By the time I get back, that'll be perfect. Definitely a unit of time measure is 1 Coke Zero. So I'm waiting for the foam to be just the right consistency. And then I have to smoosh the sides of his face because I've made his face too wide. Consistency is key as far as making sure that it does what I want. This is me making his little hair flop doo-wop. I opted to do it off of his head so that I had a little more control over it, and then I'll add it on. And here I'm cutting off the piece of where it's going to be added, and you can see that some of the foam inside of there is not cured because you can't spray water on the inside of it. It's better. So you spray the water, and that gives you a skin. And now we're all cured up here. It takes about 5 minutes or so to get this ready. Come off, go on top of the head as his floof. All right, so here I am removing this floof. This package was dirty. That means the foam is sticking to it more than I wanted it to. And if me using this dirty package instead of a clean sheet of plastic causes me to have to use a 3rd can, I still won't have learned my lesson. And that lesson is work as clean as possible because dirty causes mistakes. So that plastic was dirty that I used, and that cost me a little bit of time. But that's pretty much what I wanted to do. And now it's just babysitting this foam until it becomes stiff. So I'm using a brush as a prop to hold that up. How's he look? I think once we paint him, he'll look fine. Now it's time to start peeling the Grinch. Now it takes a bit of finagling. Getting it off is always a bit of a chore, and you just have to power through it. It has got to be harder to get off. That's why I started him earlier, because he has so much mass up here and it's not flexible. And if you crack the bust, it's made of spray foam and it's pretty easy to repair. But getting that neck and shoulders is what makes it a real nice bust as opposed to just a head. Bug, come here and hold this. Great. So one of the things that spurred me to lose weight is that I heard myself breathing too much on video. And it didn't sound good. So that's part of me just working on myself a bit. All right, now, can I live with this head shape? I don't hate it, but I think it's a little harsh in the boom. I don't have a lot of leeway of where I can take it away. Well, if you don't just try. The difference is worth a $7 can to me. Having this be right is worth it. So I open the can. And I think I'm gonna paint it and just paint it. I'll add the rough fur around the collar. Of course, this is an old can. Tell by how silky that material is. The upside about the old cans, though, is that as soon as they're out of the can and you spray them with water, you can shape them. Is that better? Yeah, that's way better. That was worth it. All right, so I'm just adding little bits here and there to smooth it out. The old stuff also gets smoother, easier. It's less pitted. Okay, I've got to wait a bit for this to puff, and then I'll smooth it again. That more of a bell shape is what we're going for. However, you need to point to your chin. And just, you know, the great thing about this is it's so easy to make little corrections. So easy to do additions. Right? All right, so I'm using the heat gun to try to reshape this because I let it solidify when it was sagged. But the heat gun really allows you to heat it up, reshape it, and then let it cool down, and it'll stay where you want it to. And now I've got the lift I need in that hairpiece. And this is just a little razor knife where I wanted to change his eyes a bit. Is getting that much more eye worth it? Yeah, bigger eye, better. Again, their shape changes so much. The eye shapes are all different. A little bigger eye frame, a little bigger eye socket. I handed the paint of this off to Bug. So Bug is going to paint this. Bug is a very talented artist. Also knowing full well that the Grinch is pretty much green, and it doesn't take a ton of joy, but getting the right amount of dry brush is correct, and I really think that Bug nailed it. I was very happy when I saw it. Again, I didn't see it before Bug painted it, and it's been a couple months, so walking into it already painted really felt nice. This also gives me the mind to, how cool would it be to make a full-size Slimer? You really could with this same technique and just have a Slimer hanging in your shop or hanging in your house. That would be really fun, and also a nice decoration. I don't know if Bug is talking or singing along to music. I never know. All right, so dry brushing. Dry brushing is key. If you learn how to dry brush, you can take over the art world. It is such a huge step for how to do things. It's just don't have too much paint on your brush, base in a dark color, and use a lighter shade of that color. And you can actually keep adding white to your base in order to go lighter and lighter. And each one is going to give you more depth as long as you back off a little bit. Now there's some solid color happening inside of the eyes. Airbrush is happening to kick off the shading of it. Once you dry brush, it looks a little flat and unrealistic, but then you can add in the airbrush shadows. And that's how we do masks here. That's how we do a lot of stuff. And I'm very happy with how that looks. Taking time to not have too many brush strokes, that's a big deal. So, oh yeah, I wanted a bit of fur on this, kind of around the neck, around the collar, and this is Bug furring up the base of this, and we're using contact cement in order to attach that. You see the little cuts, and that's going to allow it to move properly and all the hair to lay the right direction on this. Now it'll look like the hair's not the right direction because my instruction was have the hair going up, because that's going to make it poofier. He has a very poofy collar on of hair.
This isn't going on. This is just like seeing where we want the eyes.
Those are test pupils that Bug has made. I don't normally do a lot of testing, but I'm glad that some of my people do. And again, pupil shape comes from reference, and it changes. Sometimes his eyes are slitty, sometimes his eyes are round, because you can change those things in a cartoon. You don't have to pay any kind of a weird physics tax. At several points in this video, there were times where I could have said this is finished. But then you saw me cut the eye socket. Then you saw me add that little bit of foam on the sides of the head to correct the head shape. It doesn't matter how invested you are. If there's a chance it's going to make the artwork better, I think you should do it. Too many people, I think, freeze and aren't willing to make changes because of what they already have. No matter how long it takes you to make a mistake, you should try to fix it. No matter how much you have invested in it, try and fix it. If you can make it better, if you can see the change that's better, go ahead and do it. It added every single time instead of subtracting. And are there texture discrepancies? Yes. Is it as smooth as you might like a cartoon character to be? No. Could I sand this and make him a lot smoother? Absolutely. You could sand it, you could fiberglass it, which is a possibility. I don't do that because that's not what I need. So, you know, you should do things to the level in which you need them to be. Whether you need it for your event or attraction, or you need it just for how you operate. I've never been accused of being a perfectionist, so I don't have to worry about such things. It's Grinch enough for me, and I like it. And again, we're airbrushing, and Bug is airbrushing on here some of the details in order to pop the shadows. And spray adhesive for the fur in the back. Now to make it permanent, you would use spray adhesive on the bust and on the fur. Give them about 10 or 15 seconds and then put them together. But that is a Grinch bust.
That looks like the Grinch. That's great. I didn't have to paint this. Yes. That looks good.
Hey there, YouTube. So, we're here in the Stiltby Studios shop, busy working away, like always. Our Grinch is finished, and we're gonna give it away to our Patreon subscribers. So, if you're a Patreon subscriber, you're going to have your chance to be able to win our Grinch, because we don't want to store it here, and it's past Christmas, so we're gonna give it away. We're gonna announce the winner February 29th, so make sure you've subscribed before then. Go make stuff.
Go make stuff!
It's time for some Patreon shout-outs. Special thank you to Donald Lemoyne, Jeff Schreiner, Frank White Bear, Allison Schaefer, Igor Box, King of Halloween, and thank you to all our viewers for watching. If you would like some more behind-the-scenes content, make sure to join us on Patreon. As always, go make stuff.